little bit about what we're up against in this city and what we have to do to change this city. Because I want to tell you, there was once a time when the Philadelphia City Council and actually the Pennsylvania State Legislature were widely admired across the world as two of the most progressive, most innovative, most far-seeing legislatures anywhere. Of course, that was 225 years ago, and Benjamin Franklin was a member of both bodies at the time. You didn't have to resign from one to run for the other. You know, politics in the city is broken. You know that. Most people in the city know that. And when I say it's broken, I'm not just talking about corruption. You know, we know about the corruption. But to be perfectly honest, that's not the worst part of it. The worst part of it is that we have a city government that's static, that's not taking advantage of all the good ideas that are being put in place all around this country and all around this world to improve the city. Over the last 15 years, New York City and Boston has cut their crime rate, and particularly the murder rate, by almost 80%. Our murder rate, our crime rate's going up. What's the matter? Why can't we do what they're doing? All over this country, even in cities like Charlotte, in cities like Dallas, people are putting together dedicated taxes for transit. They're creating 21st century transit systems. We have an incredible transit infrastructure in the city. Engineers come to the city and look at all that we have and how wonderful it is, and then they laugh at the terrible use we make of it. Why aren't we moving ahead to create a 21st century transit infrastructure? We are the last major city in this country to adopt something like inclusionary housing, and with a little luck we're going to do it in this session of the legislature. We are also the only major city that does not put a dime of its own tax money into affordable housing. All the money we spend in the city comes from the feds and from the state government. Not one dime of our tax dollars goes for affordable housing. In the meantime, we are subsidizing housing for people who can pay $450,000 for a condo. There's something wrong with that. Cities all across this country are capping property taxes for people who've been in neighborhoods for a long time, so that when gentrification happens, the people who live through the bad times in their neighborhoods aren't forced out while the times are changing. We're not doing that. We should be. We are one of the few cities that failed to take advantage of community-based economic development strategies that help local people create businesses in their neighborhoods. New York's doing it, Boston's doing it, other cities aren't doing it. We do it a little bit, but if you talk to people in the CDCs who are really doing ground-level work in rebuilding their commercial quarters and building housing, they say they'd rather not deal with the city because the hassles of dealing with the city and the lack of funding in the city are so great, it's not worth their time. How come we're not taking advantage of those strategies? Schools. You know, we've lost control of our schools, which is a terrible thing and has to be changed. But more importantly, our schools are not, while in some respects are getting better, we still don't provide the services that most of the students, particularly those who are not going on to college, need. You know, we need to be linking job training to schools. We need to be linking vocational education to the jobs that are actually in the city. Tech High School is, and you know, equipment that was used in this 20 years ago. There's something wrong with that. If you're a neighborhood group and you want to deal with the nuisance business, or you want to get some money to do a little development in the city, you can't count on fair, efficient, effective government. You need to find some political connection to help you out. If you're an individual and your property taxes are going up and they're skyrocketing, and you think you're not being taxed fairly compared to your neighbors, you can't go to the BRT and expect a fair, efficient government that will balance your taxes out with your neighbors. You need to make a connection with someone. Anything we want to do as individuals or as members of neighborhoods or community groups, we need to go to some politician. We need to cut a special deal for ourselves. And so we live in fear of our politicians. The public servants who are supposed to be doing things for us as a matter of course, who are supposed to be following fair laws and supposed to be creating efficient government, we are in their thrall everywhere in the city. And that's why we don't ask for them what we should. And when you ask people, why don't you ask for them? They say, what do you want us to do? Why don't you ask for a government that's fair and efficient? Why don't you ask for a government that's innovative, that brings in public policies that will really change the city, make life better for all of us? They say they're afraid. They can't question the politicians because then they'll lose what little they get. The consequences is we're actually all in the same boat. We're all in throw of these politicians, from Mantua to Bridesburg, from Mount Airy to Mayfair, from Germantown to Bustleton, from Juniata to Nicetown. We are all in this together, and right now we are all suffering together. We've got to change that. And I want to tell you how we can change it. You can change it. The way you change the politics of fear is you create a politics of hope. People in this city are hopeless about politics. They don't believe it can be changed, and that's why they settle for what we have right now. You can create that hope by going to your neighbors and you tell them about neighborhood networks. You tell them about Philly for Change. You tell them about the other organizations in the city that are really trying to change politics in the city. You tell them that there are people who have a vision of a better future. People who think we really can make a difference and we really can transform the way politics works. You got to give people hope. And if you do, they won't just settle for what they get for themselves or for their own block or for their own neighborhood. They'll start asking for something better for the city as a whole. Because deep down people know we are all in this together and we can't all rise, each of us can't rise as individuals unless we all rise together. We cannot make our lives better in our neighborhood unless things start really changing in the city as a whole. And that's where you all come in. Because there's really some opportunities here. Reporters often ask me, how come this group came together? How come Philly for Change came together? Is it that you're sick of politics in the city? I tell them, no, that's obviously not it. People have been sick of politics in the city since the day Richardson Dilworth resigned. I was 4 years old then. I wasn't going to do it. But Hal Rosenthal told me that was true.
Help get him elected.
Hal helps Sue help get him elected. That's true. The difference right now is not that we're sick of politics. We've always been sick of politics in the city. The difference is people are starting to think things can change. We have a bunch of young people who, instead of getting totally turned off by politics, think things can change. We have a bunch of old people who remember the Popular Front, right? Who think finally things can be different in this city and are turning their attention to city politics. Hope is developing in the city, and that's what we have to build on, and that's what you all have to do. So I have a question for you. Are you ready to work to build the politics of hope?
Yes.
What'd you say? Are you ready to go door to door and tell your friends and neighbors that there's possibility for change in this city?
Yes.
Are you ready to hand out literature?
Yes.
Are you ready to do it tomorrow?
This afternoon.
Oh no, you gotta stay at the end of the meeting. Are you ready to do it 8 months from now?
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you're ready, the city is ready for you. Thanks.